Have you ever noticed how the more available you are, the more people seem to pull on you? Your time, your energy, your thoughts. Everyone wants a piece. And it feels good at first. It feels like purpose. Like you're being helpful, needed, important. But over time, something happens. You begin to feel drained. Not physically tired, soul tired. And here's the strange part. In the middle of all that activity, you feel invisible. What if I told you that being too available is quietly stealing your peace, your direction, and even your identity? Let's talk about what happens when you stop being available, and why that small decision changes everything. You see, C.S. Lewis once said, if you read history, you will find that the Christians who did most for the present world were just those who thought most of the next. That's a gentle reminder that you can't be effective in the world if your eyes are constantly on everything in the world. You have to look higher, and looking higher often requires stepping back. Let's go to the Bible. One of the clearest examples of boundaries is found in the life of Jesus himself. Mark 1 verse 35 says, very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place, where he prayed. Now think about this. Jesus, with crowds waiting, disciples depending, people desperate for healing, chose to step away. He wasn't being careless. He was being purposeful. And that's the first shift. When you stop being available to everyone, you become more available to God. You begin to hear again. You begin to think clearly again. You trade noise for wisdom. Now let's be honest. Most of us don't set boundaries because we're afraid of what people will think. If I don't answer this message right now, they'll think I'm ignoring them. If I don't say yes to this request, I'll look selfish. But can I gently say this? Every time you say yes to something unimportant, you might be saying no to something eternal. Ephesians 5 verses 15 to 16 puts it this way. Be very careful, then, how you live, not as unwise but as wise, making the most of every opportunity, because the days are evil. Wisdom doesn't always look busy. Sometimes it looks like stepping away to preserve what matters most. Now here's where everything changes. The moment you stop being available for everything, people start to respond differently. Some get confused, some get upset, but a strange thing begins to happen. The ones who truly value you begin to respect you, and the ones who were just using your availability, they fade away. That's painful, but it's good, because the second shift is this. When you stop being available, your real relationships rise to the surface. God begins to reveal who's supposed to walk with you in the next season, and who is only meant to pass through. C.S. Lewis had a beautiful view of friendship. He said, friendship is born at that moment when one person says to another, "What? You too? I thought I was the only one." In other words, real connection isn't forced. It's discovered. But when we're available to everything and everyone, we rarely discover those deeper friendships. Why? Because we're too busy managing shallow ones. Jesus had 12 disciples, but even within the 12, he had 3 who were closest, Peter, James, and John. And even among those 3, John is referred to as the disciple Jesus loved. Jesus, the Son of God, set boundaries in relationships. What makes us think we shouldn't? The third shift is this. When you stop being available, your purpose becomes clearer. You can't do what God called you to do if your time is always borrowed. The more you say yes to everyone else's mission, the more you say no to your own. Paul said in Galatians 1 verse 10, "Am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Or am I trying to please people? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ." That's a hard verse, but a freeing one. You were not born to be a people pleaser. You were born to be a purpose walker. And walking in purpose often means saying no when it's easier to say yes. Now let's bring this home. Imagine your life as a garden. Every relationship, every commitment, every task. It's either a flower or a weed. If you're constantly available, weeds will grow unchecked. But when you step back, when you prune, when you protect your time, the right things grow. Jesus said in John 15 verse 2, "Every branch in me that does not bear fruit he takes away, and every branch that bears fruit he prunes, that it may bear more fruit." Pruning hurts. Boundaries feel uncomfortable at first, but they make room for fruit. So if you've been feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, even lost, maybe it's not because you're doing something wrong. Maybe it's because you're too available to things God never assigned to you. Let Him prune. Let Him remove. Let Him reorder. Because when you stop being constantly available to people, to pressure, to noise, everything really does change. You find peace again. You find clarity again. And most of all, you find God right where He's always been, waiting for you in the quiet.